The day the aliens arrived changed everything. It was a clear Tuesday morning when the massive ships appeared in Earth's skies. They hovered silently over major cities, their hulls gleaming like polished metal under the sun. Panic gave way to wonder as the visitors broadcast a message of peace in perfect English and every other major language. They called themselves the Star Union, a coalition of 7 advanced species who had ruled the stars for over 1,000 years. They came offering knowledge, technology, and a place among the civilized races of the galaxy. Captain Jack Miller stood at attention as the alien delegates stepped from their shuttle onto American soil. He had been chosen to lead the military escort for this historic meeting, though the aliens had made it clear they found the security precautions amusing. "Your weapons would do nothing against even our smallest vessels," said Ambassador Torque, the tall, blue-skinned leader of the delegation. His 4 eyes blinked in sequence as he looked down at Jack. "We find your caution charming." Jack maintained his professional demeanor despite the condescension. "It's standard protocol, Ambassador." "Of course it is," Torque replied with a sound like bubbling water that Jack realized was laughter. "Just as it's standard for primitive species to react with fear." Over the next few weeks, the pattern continued. The Star Union representatives met with world leaders, shared glimpses of advanced technology, and constantly reminded humans of their inferiority. During a demonstration of alien strength, a Star Union soldier casually lifted a 2-ton vehicle with one hand. "The average Draxian child could do the same," Torque commented, his eyes fixed on Jack. "While your strongest humans struggle with a fraction of that weight." At a technology summit, alien scientists laughed when shown Earth's most advanced computers. "Quaint," one remarked. "We abandoned such basic processing over 5 centuries ago." Despite the humiliation, the United Nations voted overwhelmingly to accept the Star Union's invitation to join their interstellar community. The promise of faster-than-light travel, clean energy, and medical advances that could end disease was too tempting. Jack was selected as part of the first human delegation to visit the Star Union headquarters, a massive space station orbiting a distant star. The journey took just 3 days in an alien vessel, covering a distance that would have taken human spacecraft thousands of years. "Welcome to Harmony Station," Torque announced as they docked. "Try not to touch anything important. Your species has a reputation for breaking things you don't understand." The humans were given small, cramped quarters in the lowest levels of the station. Jack's room was barely larger than a closet, with a hard sleeping platform and recycled air that smelled faintly of chemicals. Their assignments were equally demeaning. Despite their military and scientific credentials, the humans were tasked with janitorial work, food preparation, and other menial jobs deemed appropriate for their skill level. After 2 weeks of cleaning service corridors, Jack was assigned to maintenance duty in a restricted area. The security officer gave him access with a smirk. "Even you can't mess up basic cleaning, human." Jack worked quietly, mopping the polished floor while alien officials passed by without acknowledging him. As he moved his cart near a conference room, he heard raised voices. "The Void Swarm has breached the outer defense perimeter," a harsh voice announced. 3 colony worlds have gone dark." Jack slowed his work, straining to hear more. "How long until they reach populated systems?" This was Torque's voice, all traces of amusement gone. 2 months, perhaps less. We need more soldiers at the front." "The new human recruits might be useful there," Torque suggested. "They're weak individually, but numerous. They can absorb the initial attacks while our real warriors prepare the counteroffensive." Jack's blood ran cold. The Star Union hadn't invited humanity to join out of generosity. They needed cannon fodder for a war they were losing. Abandoning his cleaning cart, Jack slipped away to find the other humans. Earth needed to know the truth before it was too late. As he hurried down the corridor, an alarm began to sound. On the station's main viewing screen, a swarm of dark ships appeared, jagged, asymmetrical vessels that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. The war had arrived sooner than expected, and humanity was caught in the middle. Jack gathered the human delegation in their cramped common area, far from alien ears. The faces of scientists, soldiers, and diplomats showed a mix of shock and anger as he revealed what he'd overheard. "They see us as meat shields," said Dr. Lisa Ross, Earth's leading xenobiologist. "Expendable bodies to throw at their enemy." "We need to warn Earth," said Commander Tom Reed. "But our communications are monitored." Jack nodded grimly. "We'll use the emergency protocol. When Ben makes his scheduled check-in tomorrow, he'll use the coded phrases we established." The next day, Ben Harris, their communications officer, sent Earth the warning hidden within harmless-sounding updates. The response came quickly: "Understood. Proceed as normal. Show no suspicion." For 3 weeks, the humans played along. They scrubbed floors, served food, and endured endless mockery while secretly gathering intelligence. Jack mapped the station's layout. Lisa studied alien biology for weaknesses. Engineers examined every piece of technology they could access. Meanwhile, on Earth, humanity prepared quietly. Military training incorporated what little they knew of Star Union combat tactics. Scientists reverse-engineered the few alien devices they had been given. During a military demonstration, Jack watched General Vex, the Star Union's supreme commander, showcase alien battle formations. "Observe how our warriors move as one perfect unit," Vex boasted to the human observers. His scaled skin glittered under the lights as he gestured to the training soldiers. "Your human armies still rely on primitive individualism. In real combat, such disorder means death." Jack kept his face neutral, though his mind raced with thoughts of Earth's most successful guerrilla campaigns, where primitive individualism had defeated technologically superior forces throughout human history. The Star Union War Council convened daily now. The Void Swarm advanced faster than predicted, consuming planet after planet. From what Jack could gather working nearby, the aliens fought as a hive mind, adapting quickly to Star Union tactics. One morning, alarms blared throughout the station. The Void Swarm had destroyed a major Star Union fleet at the Cortex system, just 3 jumps from Harmony Station. Panic spread among the alien officials. Emergency protocols activated. Jack and the human delegation were summoned to the deployment center, where Ambassador Torque waited with General Vex. "Your species will now demonstrate its usefulness," Vex announced coldly. "A border world colony needs evacuation. Our forces are stretched thin, so humans will assist." "We're not trained on your equipment," Jack protested. Vex sneered. "We've simplified the systems for your primitive minds. You need only follow orders." 12 hours later, Jack found himself commanding 30 humans on a small transport ship heading for Outpost K-12, a mining colony under imminent threat from the Void Swarm. Their mission: help evacuate 5,000 civilians before enemy forces arrived. As they approached the planet, their escort of Star Union warships received new orders. "All main combat vessels return to defensive position at Harmony Station," came the command. "The human transport will continue to K-12 alone." The Star Union captain's face appeared on their view screen. "Good luck, humans. The civilians must be evacuated within 6 hours before the Void Swarm arrives. Your sacrifice will be noted in the records." Before Jack could respond, the alien ships vanished into faster-than-light travel, leaving the human transport alone. "They've abandoned us," Tom said quietly. Lisa checked their scanners. "They knew the swarm would be here sooner. They're using us as a distraction while they fortify their important worlds." Jack stared at the blue-green planet below. 5,000 innocent lives were counting on them. "This is exactly what Earth was afraid of," he said, "but we're not going to fail these people." He turned to his team. "The aliens think we're weak, disorganized, and expendable. Let's show them how humans really fight. As they descended toward the colony, dark shapes appeared on their scanners, void swarm ships arriving much earlier than the Star Union had claimed. Jack opened a channel to the colony. "This is Captain Jack Miller of Earth. We're coming in to get you out, but we have company. Begin emergency protocols now." Then to his team, "Looks like we get to show the galaxy what humans can do when backed into a corner. And trust me, that's when we're most dangerous." The ship shuddered as they entered the atmosphere, racing against time and an enemy that had never encountered humans before. The real test of humanity was about to begin. The human transport touched down hard on the colony's landing pad. Smoke billowed from nearby buildings where Void Swarm advance scouts had already attacked. Panicked colonists, a mix of different alien species, ran toward their ship. "We have maybe 20 minutes before their main force arrives," Lisa called out, studying the scanner readings. Jack gathered his team. "Forget the standard evacuation protocols. The Star Union playbook won't work here." He pointed to the colony's layout on his tablet. "Tom, take 10 people and secure the North Passage. Bill, your team handles the loading. Rest of you, we're going hunting." "Hunting?" asked Mike, a former Marine. "With what? They barely gave us basic blasters." Jack grinned. "With everything we can find. This is a mining colony, they have explosives, industrial tools, heavy machinery. Time to get creative." Understanding dawned on their faces. This wasn't the organized, formation-based warfare the Star Union practiced. This was human warfare, adaptive, resourceful, and nasty. While Bill's team began loading colonists onto the transport, Jack led his group into the colony's storage facilities. They emerged minutes later carrying mining charges, plasma cutters, and industrial coolant tanks. "Set traps along these 3 approaches," Jack ordered, marking the map. The Void Swarm moves in straight lines based on the Star Union reports. They don't expect ambushes. Mike rigged mining explosives in narrow passages. Lisa reprogrammed mining drones to fly into Void Swarm forces and detonate. Others created choke points with overturned vehicles and machinery. A colonist engineer named Gron watched in confusion. "This is not standard defense protocol," the 4-armed alien said. "It's not," Jack replied, setting the timer on an explosive. "It's human protocol." The first wave of Void Swarm forces, black, insect-like creatures with razor-sharp limbs, arrived at the colony's edge. They moved in perfect formation, exactly as the Star Union reports described. Right into the humans' first trap. The explosion ripped through the orderly ranks, sending alien bodies flying. The surviving creatures paused, their hive mind struggling to process this unexpected tactic. That hesitation was all the humans needed. From hidden positions, they opened fire. Not in the disciplined volleys the Star Union used, but in chaotic, unpredictable patterns that forced the Void Swarm to constantly readjust. "They're confused," Lisa observed from her position. "The hive mind expects patterns and formation. Our randomness disrupts their coordination." Back at the transport, Bill's team had loaded half the colonists when a second, larger wave of Void Swarm attacked from an unexpected direction. "South entrance is breached," Bill shouted into his communicator. Jack redirected his forces. "Fall back by 2s. Covering fire, leapfrog pattern." This basic Earth military tactic was foreign to both the Star Union and the Void Swarm. When the creatures pushed forward, humans retreated strategically, luring them into more traps. When the swarm slowed, humans pressed the attack from multiple angles. Unknown to Jack, a Star Union scout ship hovered in orbit, observing the battle. General Vex had sent it to confirm the humans' expected destruction. Instead, its crew watched in astonishment. "The humans are winning," reported the scout captain. using methods we've never seen. On the ground, Jack noticed something crucial: the Void Swarm struggled with rapid environmental changes. When Lisa's team detonated the coolant tanks, the sudden temperature drop slowed the creatures dramatically. "They can't thermoregulate quickly," she shouted. "Use the environmental controls." The humans began manipulating the colony's systems, creating zones of extreme heat followed by freezing cold. The Void Swarm's coordination faltered as their biological systems struggled to adapt. For hours into what should have been a massacre, Bill's voice came through Jack's communicator: "Last colonist loaded. Everyone fall back." The humans executed their final move, a series of timed explosions that collapsed key structures, buying them retreat time while burying hundreds of Void Swarm fighters. Jack was the last to board the transport. As the ship lifted off, he watched the colony recede below them. The Void Swarm had taken the outpost, but at a cost they'd never experienced before. In orbit, the Star Union scout ship received new orders. Instead of returning to base, they would escort the human transport to safety, and bring Captain Jack Miller directly to General Vex. As their ship docked at a Star Union outpost, Jack saw something new in the aliens' four-eyed stares, not mockery, but something that looked remarkably like respect and fear. General Vex paced the length of the briefing room, his clawed feet clicking against the polished floor. The massive alien stopped in front of the holographic display showing the defense of Outpost K-12. "Explain this," he demanded, pointing at the chaotic battle patterns. "No species fights like this." Jack stood at ease, still wearing his dirt-stained uniform. "We call it asymmetric warfare, General. When facing a stronger enemy, you avoid their strengths and exploit their weaknesses." The room was filled with Star Union military officers, all watching Jack with new interest. Ambassador Torque sat silently in the corner, his usual mockery absent. "You lost the colony," said Commander Zull, a reptilian strategist. "We saved all 5,000 civilians with 0 casualties on our side," Jack countered. "The mission was extraction, not holding ground." Vex gestured, and a new hologram appeared, footage of humans setting traps, using mining equipment as weapons, and fighting in seemingly random patterns. "Your species has no formations, no unity," Vex said. "We have something better," Jack replied. "Adaptability." The next day, Jack found himself assigned to the Star Union Military Academy as a tactical consultant. The aliens wanted to understand human warfare. Jack's first class was met with skepticism until he displayed historical footage from Earth's wars. This human commander named Hannibal defeated a much larger Roman force by exploiting terrain and psychology, Jack explained. And here, Vietnamese fighters overcame American technological superiority through guerrilla tactics. The alien officers watched in stunned silence as Jack showed battle after battle where supposedly inferior forces triumphed through unconventional methods. "Your entire history is warfare," said a blue-skinned cadet. "No wonder you think differently." Meanwhile, Lisa and the other humans were integrated into Star Union research teams. Engineers who had once laughed at human technology now asked questions about Earth's primitive but effective solutions. After 2 weeks of this cultural exchange, the war intruded again. The Void Swarm had taken 3 more systems and was approaching a major Star Union colony world called Petrax. In the war room, Star Union commanders argued over conventional defenses. Jack listened silently until General Vex unexpectedly turned to him. "What would humans do, Captain Miller?" Jack approached the holographic map. "You're fighting as if the Void Swarm is a traditional enemy. They're not. They're a hive mind that expects patterns." He pointed to key positions. "Stop being predictable. Divide their attention. Create chaos they can't process." Some officers scoffed, but Vex ordered a partial implementation of Jack's strategy. Human officers were attached to Star Union units as advisors, but not given command. The battle for Petrax began well. The Star Union forces used human-inspired tactics to confuse the first Void Swarm wave. But as the battle progressed, the alien commanders reverted to their traditional formations. "They're making a mistake," Jack told Lisa as they watched from the command center. "The swarm is adapting." Sure enough, the Void Swarm broke through the main defensive line. An entire Star Union battalion was cut off, stranded on the planet's surface. "We must write them off as casualties," Commander Zull stated coldly. "Standard protocol." Jack stepped forward. "Request permission to lead a rescue mission." "Denied," Vex said. "The risk is too great." Jack looked at the humans in the room, each giving a subtle nod. "With respect, General," Jack said, "we're going anyway." Before the stunned aliens could respond, Jack and 12 humans commandeered a small transport and launched toward Petrax. "This is insubordination," Vex roared over the comm. "This is humanity," Jack replied simply. The human rescue team landed behind Void Swarm lines, using the confusion tactics that had worked at K-12. They reached the stranded battalion, finding them surrounded but still fighting. The Star Union commander stared in disbelief as humans appeared. "You were ordered to abandon us." "Humans don't leave people behind," Jack said, helping a wounded alien soldier. "Now here's how we're getting out." Using a patchwork of stolen Void Swarm technology, repurposed mining equipment, and reckless courage, the humans carved an escape route. The rescued battalion fought alongside them, learning human unpredictability on the fly. When they returned to the Star Union flagship, Jack expected court-martial. Instead, he found General Vex waiting with something resembling grudging approval. 342 soldiers saved, Vex stated. "Against all probability." Jack stood tall. "That's how humans fight, General. We don't accept no-win scenarios." The next day, a new directive came from Star Union High Command. Effective immediately, humans would receive their own ships and combat units, with full autonomy to develop tactics against the Void Swarm. The experiment had begun. The Star Union cruiser, Defiance, looked nothing like the other vessels in the fleet. Where alien ships were sleek and symmetrical, this one bristled with retrofitted weapons. Its hull bore scorch marks from recent battles, and painted on its side was a human phrase that confused the aliens: "Mess with the best, die like the rest." On the bridge, Jack sat in the captain's chair. After 3 months of human-led operations, the Star Union had reluctantly admitted that allowing humans to fight their way was producing results. The Void Swarm advance had slowed for the first time since the war began. "Status report," Jack called out. Tom, now his second-in-command, looked up from his station. "The swarm is retreating from the Calaris system. That's the third victory this week." Lisa approached with a data tablet. "We've been studying the captured swarm specimens. There's something strange in their biological makeup." She showed Jack complex scans. "They're engineered life forms, not natural evolution. And they show signs of fear." "Fear?" Jack raised an eyebrow. "A hive mind feels fear?" "Not individually," Lisa explained. "But collectively, their behavior patterns have changed since encountering humans. They're becoming cautious, defensive." A communication alert chimed. General Vex's face appeared on the main screen. "Captain Miller, your presence is required at Harmony Station immediately. The Science Council has made a discovery." 12 hours later, Jack stood in a secure laboratory deep within Harmony Station. Before him was a captured Void Swarm command node, a pulsing, organic mass that coordinated thousands of drone soldiers. Dr. Ross had managed to establish rudimentary communication with it. What they learned changed everything. "The Void Swarm isn't invading," she explained to the gathered War Council. "They're running." The alien leaders murmured in confusion. "Running from what?" Vex demanded. Lisa activated a holographic display showing deep space beyond known territories. From something they call the darkness. A force that consumes entire galaxies. The swarm is trying to establish territory to escape it, using our worlds as buffer zones. Jack studied the star maps. How long until this darkness reaches Star Union space? At current projections, less than 6 months, Lisa replied. The council erupted in panic. Ambassador Torque's voice rose above the chaos. We should negotiate with the swarm. Perhaps join forces against this greater threat. They won't negotiate, Jack said firmly. Their hive mind can't process cooperation with separate intelligences. It's all or nothing with them. The debate raged for days. Some Star Union species prepared evacuation plans to flee to distant galaxies. Others suggested surrender to the swarm. Jack and the human delegation worked tirelessly on another option. In the station's engineering lab, they collaborated with alien scientists on a technology the Star Union had always considered too unstable to use, directed energy weapons based on principles similar to Earth's nuclear technology. The Star Union abandoned this research centuries ago, explained Krell, the chief science officer. Too unpredictable, too destructive. Humans are comfortable with unpredictable, Jack replied. Sometimes you need a bigger hammer. After a week of heated council sessions, the Void Swarm made the decision for them. A massive fleet, larger than any seen before, appeared at the edge of Star Union space, heading directly for Harmony Station. This is their endgame, Jack told the War Council. They're committing everything to take our core worlds before the darkness arrives. General Vex studied the tactical display grimly. Even with all our forces combined, we cannot stop this armada. Jack stepped forward. We don't need to stop them all. We just need to stop enough of them. He outlined a plan so audacious that the alien leaders stared in disbelief. You would sacrifice your own ships as bait? Ambassador Torque asked. Not bait, Jack corrected. A diversion. While we engage their front lines, Earth has been working on something, a weapon based on your abandoned research. Something that can target the swarm's central command structure. The probability of success is less than 20%, calculated Commander Zull. Better odds than we usually get, Jack said with a grim smile. But we need the entire Star Union fleet to commit. The council chamber fell silent as the alien leaders contemplated the human plan. Finally, General Vex stood. The Star Union has existed for 10,000 years by avoiding unnecessary risks, he said slowly. But now we face extinction. He turned to Jack. Humanity has taught us that sometimes, the riskiest path is the only path. We will follow your plan, Captain Miller. As Jack left to prepare his crew, Ambassador Torque approached him. When we first met, I called your species primitive, the ambassador said quietly. I was wrong. You are different, but that difference may save us all. 3 days later, the human fleet, led by the Defiance, moved into position to face the Void Swarm Armada. Behind them, the Star Union's remaining ships prepared the final phase of humanity's desperate gamble. All ships reporting ready, Captain, Tom announced. Jack opened a channel to the fleet. This is Captain Miller. Today we make a stand not just for humanity, not just for the Star Union, but for all life in this galaxy. The aliens once laughed at us. Today, they fight beside us. Show them what humans do in battle. The stars filled with the light of engines as the ships surged forward to meet their destiny. The space between stars became a graveyard of ships. For 3 days, Jack's diversionary force fought against overwhelming odds, using every trick and tactic humans had ever devised in warfare. They flew attack patterns no logical species would attempt, sacrificed positioning for surprise strikes, and deliberately damaged their own ships to create traps. Our forward shields are gone, Tom reported, blood trickling from a cut on his forehead as the Defiance shuddered from another hit. "Reroute power from life support," Jack ordered calmly. "We only need to hold out for 20 more minutes." The bridge was filled with smoke. Half the stations were dark. On the tactical display, Jack could see that of the 30 human ships that had begun the battle, only 11 remained operational. "The swarm is adapting to our patterns," Lisa warned. "They're predicting our movements now." Jack smiled grimly. "Then it's time for our final surprise. All ships, execute Protocol Omega." The remaining human vessels suddenly cut all power, appearing dead in space. The Void Swarm, confused by this unexpected tactic, hesitated in their advance. That moment of confusion was all Earth needed. From behind the moon of a nearby planet, a ship unlike any other emerged. Built in secret by human and Star Union engineers, it carried the weapon Jack had promised, a modified version of the abandoned Star Union research, enhanced with principles from Earth's nuclear technology. "Earth ship Prometheus in position," came the transmission. "Target acquired. Firing in 3, 2, 1. A beam of energy, blindingly bright, shot across space and struck the Void Swarm's command ship. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the energy began to spread, jumping from ship to ship throughout the swarm fleet, targeting the unique frequency of their hive mind communication. The effect was instantaneous. Thousands of swarm vessels suddenly lost coordination, their movements becoming erratic or ceasing altogether. "It's working!" Lisa exclaimed. "The hive mind connection is severing." Jack opened a channel to the Star Union fleet waiting beyond the battlefield. "General Vex, the door is open. Now." The full might of the Star Union military surged forward, attacking the disorganized swarm with devastating precision. The battle turned in minutes, becoming a rout as the once fearsome enemy broke apart into individual units without central control. The Defiance limped back to Harmony Station 3 days later. The cost had been high, 19 human ships destroyed, thousands of lives lost. But the Void Swarm Armada was defeated, its remnants scattered and no longer a threat. In the Grand Council chamber, representatives from all Star Union species gathered. Jack stood with his surviving crew, still wearing battle-damaged uniforms. High Counselor Zan, the eldest leader of the Star Union, approached the podium. "For 10,000 years, the Star Union has represented the pinnacle of civilization in this galaxy," the ancient alien began. "We believed ourselves to be the most advanced, most evolved species. We looked upon newcomers with condescension and pride." Zan turned to face the humans. "We were wrong. The youngest species among us has taught the oldest a lesson in humility. And in courage." Ambassador Torque stepped forward. "The Star Union Council has voted unanimously. Humanity is hereby granted full and equal status within our alliance, with all rights and privileges thereof." A staff-bearer approached Jack, carrying an ornate box. Inside was the Star Medallion, the highest honor in the Union. In addition, General Vex announced, "Captain Jack Miller will lead our newly formed Joint Defense Force. The darkness still approaches, and we will need human ingenuity to face it." After the ceremony, Jack found himself alone with Torque and Vex on an observation deck overlooking the station's docking bays. Below, human and alien engineers worked side by side, integrating Earth technology with Star Union designs. "I must confess something, Captain," Torque said quietly. "When we first arrived at Earth, our scans showed your violent history, your constant wars. We thought this made you lesser beings. We didn't understand," Vex added, "that these struggles had forged something remarkable. A species that never accepts defeat, that always finds another way." Jack watched as children from various species, including humans newly arrived from Earth, played together in a recreation area. He noticed several alien youngsters pretending to be human soldiers, mimicking their fighting stances. "The future will be different," Jack said. Our children will grow up together, learning from each other. The best of humanity combined with the best of the Star Union. The conversation was interrupted by an urgent communication. Lisa's face appeared on a nearby screen. Captain, our deep space probes have detected the darkness. It's approaching faster than we predicted. Jack exchanged glances with the alien leaders. Where once there might have been fear or dismissal, now there was determination and respect. Well, Jack said, straightening his uniform. Let's show this darkness what happens when it threatens our galaxy. As they walked together toward the war room, the once mocking aliens fell in step beside their human ally, equals at last in the greatest fight yet to come. The species that had laughed at humanity now placed their hope in the very qualities they had once despised. And they would not be disappointed.